All we do is work. And every time we work. We work on this podcast, work. All we want to do is work.
That is Mikey on the left of me.
Work.
And I got Carlito to the right of me. And
I've got Natasha next to me.
Work.
You know what? I never thought I'd see it, but I did. You guys have heard it? We saw it.
Yeah.
he got too much
I'm
into
excited.
it, right?
We have a good guest today.
Let's recap it. So I had Mikey on the left of me. I had Carlito on the right of me. And
we had Natasha to the right of me from Natural Carpentry.
ooh, hello,
Thank you.
Natasha.
Hello.
Does carpentry come natural to you?
Yes.
That's amazing.
I wonder how long he was saving
Okay,
that joke.
I just thought about it right now.
Listen, if I could tell you anything, this guy's really excited because if he knows a woman in the house that's a carpenter, he's going to be talking the whole
Hey,
time.
now, happily married with a kid, eh, bud?
I wasn't
Let's just
implying
put that
anything.
in
What's
there.
going on
We
here?
weren't
I don't know.
talking about wood.
Hang on a sec. Oh my goodness. This isn't
Actually, that's
already
one of the
started.
topics. That's one of the topics I'm going to ask her.
This is not
All about wood.
This is not about us.
No. Oh, yeah, that's right. Natasha from Natural Carpentry. Is in
Hello,
the house.
Natasha.
And to the right of you, we have Mike from Creatix Contracting. But it's not about us.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Natasha?
No, I want her to say, and to the right of me.
And to the right of me, I have Mike from Creatix Contracting.
Yes.
And to the
To
right,
the right
of you?
of me, I have Manny from Hardwood Carpentry. No, I got Manny from Hardcore Rentals, man. You
both
guys
you
know
guys
who he is.
keep on butchering my name.
Hey,
it's
stop
not the
it.
hardest
It's not
name to
about us.
remember. Oh
Not
my
about
God.
us.
Okay, back to Natasha.
Yes.
Can we get back to Natasha, please?
So we
I'm
better make this good.
31 years old. I'm a Libra. I enjoy long walks.
Wait, hang on. Is this Tinder again? What's going on here? What happened?
You know what? I swear their MO's the same because he walks cats on the beach.
I enjoy long walks on a deck patio built by Drycore. No, anyway.
Not your deck. You haven't built it
No,
yet.
my deck is destroyed.
Okay, so we're doing a second part to women in construction. 'Cause
Yeah.
we feel women in construction is I wouldn't say a serious topic.
No, you know what? Actually, Manny, I don't think it is a topic anymore. Women
No,
are all
women
around
are
us. They've
in
always been all
construction.
around us.
Yes.
And I think it's just about time that guys face up to it and women that this is how it is. There's no surprise here. But we are going to talk about it because I think it's important to hear a woman's side of construction.
But before we get into that, let's get a little bit of Natasha and how you got into the business and how did you come up with the whole natural carpentry and everything like that.
So it was actually the name of a book that I got when I was in school. But it was actually called Natural Carpentry and Construction, and I just dropped the construction part and shortened it up. I've been working in the industry for over 10 years, and I've had a business for about 4 years. So
Were you studying?
yeah, I went to a 2-year full-time program at Algonquin College called Heritage Carpentry and Millwork. And it was at their, they have a branch campus in Perth, Ontario, which is just outside of Ottawa. Pretty historical town. And so that school actually had like specialty trades. So they had my program, which specialized in like working in historical homes. And then they also had a masonry program that was similar. When I was there, they had just started advanced housing program, which was just about like more modern building technique, advanced framing, and things like that.
So what made you get into construction? So you're just over 10 years you've been in construction. So
Yes.
your late teens, early 20s, you got the bug to get into construction, or did you have the bug earlier than that?
So I hadn't really planned on going into construction. I always took shop classes and stuff when I was in high school. My grandfather was a carpenter.
Do they still have shop classes?
By the way,
in
I
high
thought
I don't know.
all the coolest chicks in school that took tech were the best.
Yeah, it was
loved
fun. And I think only 1 year there was like 2 other girls, and then the rest of the time I was the only one. But
Really?
Whatever.
Yeah, no, it's
So it was
great.
a boys' class. It was a boys' class.
Yeah, no, totally it was.
Yeah.
When I was looking at colleges and universities, because I applied to both, I did apply to this carpentry program, but more so just for the sake of applying. Like I hadn't really intended on going there. And then we went there for their open house. I was just like, no, I'm going to do this.
Wow.
What was it about the open house that inspired you?
Just good vibes. Just felt correct. Like it just felt like the right thing. It wasn't really a college town, so I didn't really get whatever that college experience would have been. Like,
Did you take it with people that you already knew? Like
No.
So no one. You didn't know anyone.
I didn't know
there.
anyone. They didn't even have dorms. Like you had to rent out rooms in people's houses or apartments or whatever, because it's a really tiny town. I think when I went there, it was like 6,000 or 7,000 people.
I guess you were never late for school.
That's not true.
So you did the school thing, and then you get out of school and you start where?
Where did I start?
Were you working for someone right away, or did you go into a business for yourself right away?
So when I first left school, I was looking for a job, and initially when I first left school, it was actually hard for me to find a job. Like I think it took about a month or so for me to find a job.
Because it was so small there. Is that why?
Well, that's
No,
not bad.
I
A
moved
month.
back home.
Oh, okay.
I moved back home.
So where was home?
So I lived just and grew up just north of Toronto in King Township.
Okay.
So I moved back home, and I think it took me about a month or so. So in the interim, I did a job for like one of my mom's friends.
How did that go?
It went fairly well. They had an older like farmhouse, and so I made a handrail for them out of basically old like 2x4s and stuff that they had pulled out.
Horsehair.
So it went fairly well. And then honestly, the first few years, I switched jobs a lot.
How did you sell yourself? Like because I'm sure that a lot of people that get into construction, I've been asked this. I'm sure you guys have been asked this, right? How did you sell yourself for that first job to convince somebody, give me a shot?
It was more of like having to justify yourself. I wouldn't really say.
Completely agree.
I wouldn't really say it was me selling myself. I found when I was first starting to apply, especially considering that I didn't have that much experience, it was mostly like there was two general types of people. There were either people that basically wouldn't hire me because I was a girl. And I had
Crazy.
people straight up say that to me.
That's crazy.
But you know what?
That's part of the reason why we're talking.
You're
Right.
talking about a month downtime. From my point of view, you're doing really well right from the beginning. Most people can't find a job for 6 months or a year.
That's what I was saying earlier.
So
It's
like you're
crazy.
doing
She
all.
found one
I
in a
don't.
month.
I don't think you had any problems being a girl. You've been in school with guys the whole time. You got right into work, and you've been kind of bouncing around. So you've been doing pretty good so far.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I was comparing it, I guess, to like my then boyfriend, now husband,
Yeah.
who got a job right away.
Yeah.
Immediately,
That's
he had
what
a
I was
job.
thinking too. Okay, Carly, you think that it sounds like, wow, you're moving really quick. It's perfect.
Well,
It's
she
great.
is, because I know a lot of guys that don't get work for months.
I know, but if you're comparing it to the other guys that are out there, they're getting work a lot faster because they're a guy.
I don't know, man. You got a great personality, and I don't think that. I think that if you came and approached us for a job, I don't think we would be thinking, oh, is she a guy or a girl? Or
No, but that's us.
No,
like I
but-
think she has that character that you're not going to worry about that.
Well, but this
No.
is also 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
That's true.
You're just
That
getting
is true,
started,
yeah.
right? So
A
Yeah,
lot
this
of
is
women,
10
a lot
years
of
ago,
women
it's not now.
are definitely in this industry right now.
So were your parents involved in construction at any point?
No, not at all.
Anybody else in the family?
My grandfather was, yeah.
Carpenter?
Yeah.
Nice.
He actually, when I was little, I would live with them a lot, like during the summer and stuff. And he had a shop on their property.
Nice.
At that point, he was retired or semi-retired. And he would just do like woodworking and stuff.
Old school woodworking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he made my grandma an old, not for any purpose to use, but
This is
like
gonna
an
be
old
good.
spinning wheel.
Really?
Wow.
And then they
Wow.
just had it in the house, like on display.
Well, he wasn't just
They
any
still have-
carpenter. This sounds like he was pretty good with his hands.
No,
Sounds
yeah,
like he
very
was
good.
spun. Been waiting for that one. That's awesome. Well, I mean, I was gonna ask also, like, so there was no intimidation factor for you at all, knowing that
Oh,
full blown
sure.
10. Yeah, like I would imagine that, and you just decided, you know what, the hell with this. It's a man's world. I'm still getting into it.
Well, I mean, if it's what I want to do, then it's what I'm going to do.
You're awesome.
There is
That
no
is
man's
great.
world.
How much
No,
of the
well,
time-
I'm saying cliche, Carlito. At the end of the day, it's driven by
Well,
men. This industry
the
still
whole,
is.
But the whole world is a man's world.
No.
Absolutely,
What
it
the
is.
fuck you
No,
talking
hang on
about?
a
way.
second. Hang on
Are
a second.
you
I want to hear
saying-
this from Natasha.
But hang on, before she gets into that, how can you not say it's not a fucking man's
It
world?
is a man's world.
Okay, you were being sarcastic.
In the industry.
I mean,
this
the whole
industry.
world. I'm talking about the
world.
whole
The
world.
Thinking the whole world's a man world.
The
Are
whole
you kidding me? I
fucking
have
world.
perfect instructions every morning on how I'm supposed to go to my day from my wife. You're telling me it's a fucking man's world? Bullshit.
Yeah,
I call
you know what?
bullshit.
And
It's a woman's world.
My
all
wife
through
does
and
the
through.
same thing.
Exactly. And you know what? They actually have it a little bit better because all men, all you gotta do is show a little bit of thigh and it's over.
I just want
I
to be
will do
clear.
whatever.
I just want to be clear that was Mike
Hi.
speaking,
going?
not Manny, not Carlito.
No, it's
okay?
definitely not.
Definitely
us.
not
Anyways,
Natasha.
Manny,
Let's
that's why
go
I
back
don't
to
bring
my
any
question.
animals around him.
Listen.
Okay, sorry.
No,
so
I'm just saying.
interrupted.
I wanted to ask, obviously, if you were intimidated, because I feel, and just my opinion, that most women that are trying to get into this business, this industry, construction, renovations, whatever you want to call it, are intimidated. They feel that they're coming in to a man's industry. I just want to get your angle on that with respects to.
Well, like I still feel intimidated sometimes.
Yeah.
That's still something
Really,
that
even
happens.
after setting up a business 4 years
Totally,
ago, you still
totally.
feel intimidated.
Absolutely.
By who? The sub-trades or the clients or just people in general?
Just it depends on the person. Sometimes it can be a sub trade. Sometimes it can be a client. I would say now more so. I'm at the point where that doesn't really happen so much with my clients, but definitely with sub trades, even just like going into the lumberyard or the supplier, they will be straight up dicks to me just because they're like, well, who's this chick?
Well,
Wow.
realistically, they're probably limp dicks.
No, but I mean, I get what she's saying, and I don't know, man. My opinion's different. I would think if
You know what?
I mean?
This is the way I'm looking at it. There's a lot of strong women out there and
Yeah,
they're taking advantage
100%.
of it. And for the women that aren't taking advantage of it, they need to jump on board because
If this is what they wanna do.
This is an industry for all of us, and the sooner we get to work with each other, and the faster we get.
Okay,
on
so
board.
but in 11, okay, so let's say 10 years for you. You've been in this career for 10 years. Is it half the time you've had to deal with limp dicks out there? Is that like that, or is it less than half, or more than half, or
Maybe in the course of the entire 10 years, half the time.
half the time? How many times you guys have to deal with these idiots? We don't. We don't have to deal with these idiots for that one issue.
no,
We don't.
Nope.
They have to deal with it. That's wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I totally.
in
get
what
you're
what
saying.
regard?
In what regard is that you shouldn't have to justify you being in this industry because you're a woman. You shouldn't have to prove yourself before you even met me or even spoken to me or done work with me.
But
You
I
shouldn't
also,
have to.
but I think that's the intelligence of the person that you're working for.
Sure.
I don't have any boundaries for that. I really like that a woman would jump on board because I'm looking for some motivation for the guys to say, wow, that girl's outworking me. I better jump on top of that right now.
That's exactly my
before
mentality.
I lose my job. I like women that are aggressive. Get to it.
How did you deal the first time that someone, or I guess, okay, let me ask you this, Natasha. How were you the first year when you met someone who was like, you're a woman? And how are you now when you meet somebody and you're a woman?
Well, I would say in the first little while, it was more so going along with the fact of feeling like, okay, yes, I do have to justify this. Question that I would get asked a lot is, how many 2x4s can you lift? And I would I would answer the question like I'd be like, well, I can probably lift like this many 2x4s. And in hindsight, I should have just well, that's irrelevant. And like I've worked with guys that can't lift as much as me. Like I hired this guy one time who ended up getting fired, and it was like working with like a friggin' hummingbird. He could lift so little.
I love hummingbirds.
Okay, I've spoken about this before where I've said it's not a physical thing. So
No,
any
and
idiots out there that think it's like women shouldn't be in our industry because it's a physical thing. They can't lift the 2x4s the way we can lift them.
Well, and you know what? Let's talk about a little bit. I'm gonna with you for a second. I think that it's really important that that everyone understands when we work together, guys or girls. We work on each other's weaknesses. So what happens is it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl. You come to the table, you bring what you have to the table, and the person that's organizing that, being the manager or the supervisor, the owner of the business, That's the person that needs to put everyone in their best, strongest position.
Sure.
So who cares if you're a woman or not? What the important part is what have you had to go through, and how are things different now for you?
Obviously, I've been like harassed in the workplace. That happens. But the thing is that that's not even exclusive to construction. That's part.
I know, Mikey, you don't want to.
That's
get
part
into
of being
this
a
thing,
woman?
But
That's part of being a woman.
That's
You're
exactly
kidding
it.
me.
No,
No,
come on.
I'm not joking.
I mentioned this the last podcast where I said,
What
listen,
don't I
you've got-
wanna get into?
Okay, it's not just the construction industry. I know that everyone's jumping on the Me
No, we
Too
talked about this
bandwagon.
last
we
time,
did
you're right.
talk about this
I know,
last time.
but
yeah.
I say that it's the entire fucking world is what I have a problem
Hey
with.
man, I get it. I totally understand that it's happening in other.
You know
Sorry.
what? I think I'm gonna have to dumb myself down because I've been open-minded to working with women, and I think that you've just talked about something I've never actually experienced.
Well,
And
but how could you experience it?
no, but I've been around women, and I've never ever felt that women felt that way. So it's interesting to hear you talk like that. Does that happen a
Like-
lot?
Oh, it happens. Like, I don't have to be at work to be harassed by someone. That happens all the time. Literally today, when I was putting tools in my van, I saw these two dudes catcall a lady on the sidewalk. I witnessed that happen today. And even just the intimidation question. In general, women are intimidated by men.
Yep.
Like, if I'm walking on the street alone and there's some dude walking behind me and I feel like he's been walking behind me for a long time, I start to feel anxious about it.
I feel the same way when there's a woman walking behind me.
Do you think it's made you stronger as a woman going through all these things now, and now being you're obviously okay. So we haven't got into how you met your husband and how
We
you
met at
start.
college.
Did you guys start the business together?
Yes, we did.
So
Hang on.
okay.
She has a big smile on her face. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to...
No.
It didn't work out. It was a lot of strain on our relationship, and so we decided to separate the business, and we managed to
Save the relationship.
Yes.
I'm fascinated by people that live
this is
together
great.
and work together.
I love this. This is great.
So that was pretty difficult time. He's an extremely talented carpenter, and he now works for someone, and I run the business.
Did it help being with him in the business with the men, or did you find that after you got rid of them? Not, and I don't mean it like you got rid of them, but I mean
Honestly-
after you guys split up, did it seem easier to work with other men?
When the two of us were working together, we were doing most of the work ourselves, and we weren't really working with subtrades. It wasn't until I started working on my own that then I started hiring subtrades.
You got smarter and you started doing bigger jobs, and
Yes.
you couldn't do it all yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Beautiful. I love it. This is
Dun,
great.
dun,
This is the way I no. I like the way this is
dun.
going already. So where's your business heading right now?
So we're actually kind of steering away from hiring subtrades and looking to be more so of like a specialty carpentry company.
Okay.
We especially have done a lot of structural work in old homes in Toronto. We were very experienced with doing structural modifications to old homes, but also we have a lot of experience dealing with rot. So mitigating rot, doing epoxy repairs, consolidation.
Wow.
I love it.
That kind of stuff.
I love it because
Okay.
Toronto's famous for tearing down and not repairing.
Do you have any licenses or any certificates for salvaging old homes like that?
No, I have the certificate from my college program,
Okay.
which says on it like Heritage Carpentry and Millwork. I don't have any sort of qualification from like Heritage Conservation of Canada
Okay.
or anything like that.
But you can work with them anyways.
Yes, and we did go through in our program what all their rules are and the difference between like a restoration, a renovation, and then when you have to just tear down. You know, if you're doing a renovation, generally you have to make the renovation look entirely different from the historical home. And if you're doing a restoration, that's when you can then make, if you are doing an addition, that's when you can then make it look the same as the existing.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer the restoration or do you prefer the renovation? Because I get the sense that you don't prefer teardowns.
No, I don't prefer teardowns, but sometimes you need
you
to.
kinda
just-
have to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like especially with a lot of these houses when they're so close together, when they're like in rows and stuff, it can be so bad. Probably cheaper to just tear it down.
Why are you working away from working with subtrades? Is it something that they're not doing for you? Are they wasting your time? Is it hard to work with them, or is it that you get better control and a better finish by doing it yourself?
Well, we definitely get a better finish by doing it ourselves. Like we do subcontracting. We're starting to move more towards being a subcontractor who sort of specializes in that kind of work. We can also do finish carpentry. So at school, we learned how to do like replication of moldings or how to build a sash window or something like that. I just felt I may do general contracting later, but I kind of wanted to just focus on something, become extremely proficient at it and known for it, and then go from there.
So what's your specialty?
Historical homes.
Like what part of it? Like the wood part, the masonry part,
The
or
wood
all
part.
across the board?
The wood part.
Okay.
And your husband, he's focusing more on.
He's actually a lead hand for a high-end framing company. So right now they're framing a big home in Rosedale.
Nice. It's a very up and coming neighborhood, I understand.
So does he still come and help you out, or do you need to seek his help, or
Not
is he looking for help
really.
from you now?
Maybe to use my work van or to use some of my tools.
So you've got a van, you don't have a pickup truck.
No, why would I love
it.
pickup?
She's got a van.
I'm just you're a pickup truck.
No.
I'm a van.
I've always been a van guy.
But you're driving a pickup truck.
I'm driving a pickup truck because I have a farm. I just bought a pickup truck. Well, I mean a van.
van.
Listen,
We just got a van
I'm
again.
saying you're a pickup truck. You're a pickup truck, not what you want to be.
No,
You're not Superman.
Listen, I've had 5 vans. I've always been a van guy. I think it's
I'm
it's
just saying
great
vans
that you're
rock.
in a van.
Vans rock. Okay. I want to get an idea of how clients react when they see you walk in to quote something or to discuss construction.
Yeah, but they probably, when you're
Well-
going into someone's house, they know you're coming. It's
Yeah,
not
like I always talk to them on the phone first. I'm not just going to people's houses for free.
yeah, of
they're probably
course.
like, "Wow, you sound like a woman."
Yeah, do you find it harder to obviously women are in construction across the board, but most of them are designers from my end. Like
Right.
it's very few women that I find that are actually really on the tools
Yes.
and running their own business. So it's great that you're running your own business. So are you hunting this work down, or are they finding out who you are already from past work, and so it's just a landed job?
I mostly get contacted through, like I get cold calls. I actually get jobs through Instagram.
Beautiful.
And referrals.
Love it.
Well, we've all built our businesses like that.
Yeah, we get. We were just talking about this last time. Instagram is such an important tool, and
Oh, we've been slacking on it lately, but we're
Not
loving it.
we. Don't group us.
No, me.
You.
Me. I've been slacking on it.
I've been holding my
you
own.
keep saying we. Does that mean you have a couple employees?
Oh yeah, I have 2 employees.
Okay.
Are they women?
One of them's a woman and one of them's a man.
And how is she?
She's good. She's just started with us, so I think she's still sort of getting used to the way that we like to do things, because I am very strict about like level of quality, especially with our framing. Like I like to try to get everything within an eighth of an inch.
Good for you.
So
Well,
we're-
because you know how the finishing is going to be later on.
Yeah.
So you know that you need to be perfectly plumb and level.
Yeah. So we try to get our framing, try to keep our tolerances for that as tight as possible. I think that's just not something that she's totally used to from working with other people.
Is she younger, much younger, or is she?
No, I'm the youngest one actually.
Really? She's worked in the industry a little bit then.
Yeah, I think she's had about 5 or 6 years experience.
So she's got some bad habits. We don't have to dive into them if she's going to be listening here.
Everyone's got
I
bad
wouldn't-
habits, Manny.
I wouldn't say that they're like, she's very open to learning, and she
Great.
will always ask like before she does something, okay, how do you want me to do this? Because we have pretty like particular ways of how we like things to be done.
Yeah.
Just so that we can achieve the kind of results that we're aiming to achieve on a
Yep.
consistent basis. I wouldn't say that she has bad habits. I would just say she's not used to the way that we work.
Out of curiosity, are most of your clients women or men?
Men, actually, I
Wow.
would say, because
Excellent.
as I said, we've been
Love it.
doing a lot of subcontracting, so that's usually.
So guys are
like a
open-minded.
GC.
This is really great to hear.
Yeah,
I mean, I
don't
thought we
think
were-
they're not open. I just
I know,
think
but I
it's-
thought we were the only guys that really open-minded to women being like.
no, Carlito. There's a lot.
No,
There's
I talked to a lot of guys out there that just on the same playing field as
Well,
us.
the
And-
guys
but
that I
they're-
talk to that are not on the same playing field are because they don't want the guys on the crew to start not working working and paying more attention to the female on the job site. You know what I mean?
You talking about sexual harassment?
Well, see, that's something I want to talk to her about. Well, hey, man,
wait
you
a
know
second.
what? It's a legit
Are you
topic.
talking about sexual harassment?
It's a legit topic. It's a legit topic.
That's
I
how
want
the
to ask
lawyer
her.
said it to
But
me. That's how I'm going to say it.
Before
Okay?
even that, like, I just, you know what? So, what would you say to women out there that want to get into this business but feel somewhat intimidated not to because of, you know,
Sexual harassment.
Sexual
that and
harassment.
the fact that, you know, they're probably 90% going to be working with a bunch of guys.
The actual chances of getting sexually harassed by a guy at work are pretty small. Like, it's only happened to me a handful of times.
We've heard stories from other GCs and some serious issues.
Yeah.
I would say you're more likely to just generally be disrespected. Like, you're going to have an idea and no one's going to listen.
Nobody's
to it.
exactly, and you know what? And that's particularly more what my question was based around of is you know, how do you get that intimidation factor out of a woman that wants to start in construction, and you know, she's probably going to feel like she's going to
Well-
be degraded or, you know, not listened to, or nobody's really going to help her out.
Those things are going to happen. They still happen to me.
See, and that's what I'm saying, and that
But-
sucks. That's why I'm pissed off about this, is the fact that it shouldn't be that way.
I mean-
100% should not be that way.
The only thing you can really do about it is, first of all, make a note of who those people are and try not to work with them.
Yeah.
Again, if you're in that situation, it is frustrating, but you will get over it. Yeah, you're going to be intimidated, and yeah, you're going to be harassed, and you're not going to be listened to or whatever. Get the sense of, well, it doesn't matter what you think about it, because I know that I'm right, and if you're not going to listen to me, then that's your problem. You know, if I am telling you, okay, this is going to be an issue in the future and we should mitigate it now before it turns into something bigger, and then they don't listen, then you can just be like, okay, so remember when I told you that that was going to be an issue and now it's even bigger? Maybe you should have listened.
Wow.
How many chances do you give your employees?
My employees?
Like, this is I'm grouping it together as a generalization here. So the sexual harassment issue, whatever, and just fuck ups in general and whatever, right? So I'm a strict asshole. I'm sorry, but I'm running a business.
I would say it more so depends on the frequency
Yeah.
of the mistakes, because
Yeah.
everybody makes mistakes, but if you make like 2 mistakes a year, then whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I think it also depends on what the mistake is.
But okay, so then, but the
What'd you wanna
sexual.
say,
hang on a sec.
I just looked over at Mike. I was like,
His antennas just
2
picked up.
mistakes a year. You're gone, buddy.
One sec. But
You're hired. You're fired.
but hang on a sec. The sexual harassment mistake.
Okay, if someone that I hired was to sexually harass me, I would fire them immediately.
Thank you very much. That's all I want to say.
Okay, so
But that's never happened.
No, but we've heard from other GCs that have had that, where guys just do not get the message and they feel it's perfectly fine to be sexting.
sexual harassment.
To be, I don't want to make
James
light
Bond.
of it, okay? So it's
Bond.
perfectly fine to
James
be sexting,
Bond.
right? And so it's perfectly fine to be harassing this woman. And if you, as a GC, if you heard one
You
of
sound like my father.
Let him finish, man. Fuck, I told you, it's not about us.
So if you heard that one of your sub-trades was sexual harassing another sub-trade, what the fuck would you do, Mikey and Carlito?
Oh, they would be reported
Gone.
and written up.
Fucking
no,
gone.
they would be written up
Gone.
right away.
There's not even
I would
gone.
I would have a conversation with the person that was sexually harassed, and if they could work with them and they were willing to, and they felt like that there might be a possible chance of working it out. I would give the opportunity to the person that felt that they were in that position, but they would definitely be written up.
If it's clearly evident that a man is sexually harassing a woman on a construction site, they're fucking gone.
Listen, there should be no excuse for sexual harassment. That's what I'm going to start with first.
Sorry to get so serious, but
Second of all, I think that the word sexual harassment is definitely a serious word, but it could be something small that could be fixed, or it could be something that
Like an
can't.
inappropriate comment.
Yeah, like sometimes guys think that, okay, so you're working so-called man's world. You're kind of fitting in.
Otherwise known as the world.
Yeah, that's the world. Yeah. So my
Negative.
So my
Negative.
work, my
Negative.
wife, my wife.
for the
works in-
record, I agree with
I
Natasha.
don't agree with
on
that.
my
this
wife
saying.
works in construction.
We'll get back to it.
And she said a lot of times she's heard a lot of things and they've said things to her, and she'll just warn them. It might be a completely, and she'll just say, "Hey, listen, I don't want to hear it again," and she'll allow it to slide. And then if it becomes a bigger problem, that's when it has to be really, really addressed, right? I mean,
would-
but people are different, right?
I would say at this point, like if I'm unhappy and I feel discriminated against, I'm pretty overtly
Set in your
aggressive
mind.
about it.
Yeah.
This is not acceptable.
You draw a line. You
Yeah.
let the person know
Yeah.
what you just did or said is unacceptable.
Yes.
And either they listen or they don't.
Okay,
and
well-
if they do it again, they're in trouble.
Okay, so let's talk about what is acceptable and what's not. Okay, so legally it's not acceptable across the board.
Period.
But at some point, being humans and saying the four of us are working together, okay, and obviously you'd be outnumbered as 3 men against 1 woman.
Right.
But we're having a good time and we're joking around like we are right now. There's a certain line where
Well, it depends on the context.
yeah.
Okay, so let's say that's a good analogy. Let's say the four of us are working together. Mike's on his hands and knees tiling. You say a suggestive homosexual comment. Is that crossing the line? Now, Natasha's tiling and she's on her hands and knees, and another employee says something suggestive. Is that unacceptable?
We build a rapport with each other and a friendship with each other
Yes.
that we have certain boundaries, and I think that a certain boundary, like you have to know what your boundary is.
Mikey's
right?
shaking his head no.
No, the thing is, man, you say hands and knees and whatever. People who know us that we like
We're
to
joking
have fun
all the time.
Yeah,
We
and
joke
we're
around,
joking
we
all the-
screw around.
Hey, man, if somebody's gonna say a comment, I'm on my hands and knees, and then whatever, I get some homophobic comment, and then there's a woman working
But you
with
brush
us.
it off. It's a
Yeah,
joke.
you know
and
what?
move on.
I don't take it personal.
Okay, is it fair
I'd
to say-
rather laugh my ass off and keep the mojo.
But you're not a
going.
woman right now.
No, I understand that, but the woman's working with me. I'd want the woman to accept our humor on site. Because that's all it is. It's trying to get along with everybody. It's got nothing to do with sexual harassment or being friggin' derogative towards another woman on her hands and knees laying tile.
But that's your opinion.
That is my opinion, yes. And I,
think-
would like to, that's
I-
how I run my job sites.
I think
Everybody's
Nata-
got to have fun.
I think Natasha wants to chime in.
Sorry, go ahead, man.
That's okay.
It's not about us.
I think it depends on A, the context, and B, also the tone of the comment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, agreed. I totally agree. I'm sorry to cut you off. I agree. But you know what? Gotta have a good time doing
You got to
it.
be careful about how you say certain things. But I used to joke when I was in my 20s that if you said something and the person was attracted to you, then it was considered flirting. If the person wasn't attracted to you,
Ooh.
it was considered harassment.
That is so
Fucking
true.
dangerous. I know,
Yeah.
but that's how it is. So if the two people, okay, you met your husband, so there's also a chance that if we're working along and you can meet somebody on a job site and you get along with and you work in the industry and it's great, but that same person that's attracted to the other person could say a suggestive comment and it could come across as flirting. But someone else could hear that comment and go, wait a minute, that was crossing the line. That's sexual harassment. So it's like, at what point do you say it's flirting or harassment?
I would say it's based on how I personally feel.
Yes.
When the person said it, did I feel creepy?
Yes.
Or did I feel like
Yeah.
it was funny?
It's how you react to it.
Yeah, and the other thing is I'm not thinking that people are trying to sexually harass me.
Right.
So
That's
it's-
a great point because I never do
You
that
know-
on my job site. I'm not thinking any one of my guys is going, hey, man, he's a good looking fucking guy. I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking, why are you
what?
taking so long to do
tell you
that?
the truth, I've never thought of it either until now.
That's
no,
what
but
I mean.
it really is true.
yeah,
about
like,
it all the time.
I'm not thinking someone's trying to sexually harass me, and maybe they make a comment, and I think like, okay, well, that was a nice compliment to say to me.
Yes.
And then I don't nip it in the bud, and then 2 weeks later, something is said, and I'm just like, no, that was like super inappropriate, and now I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to know, okay, well, is that just someone like saying a nice thing to me? I can just take that as like a compliment, like, oh, you look nice today, or like, you have nice eyes. You know what I mean? Like, is that just
thank you.
something that you're saying?
Yeah. Now we're trying to look for the extremes. Have you ever really run into a problem where you've had to kick someone off or get rid of someone? That's the real question, because we're talking about, like, we keep talking about women in construction and sexual harassment and so on. But how many people? How many people do you know that have gone through it? Is it something that really happens? That
So there was one circumstance where I was working for someone, and I probably should have said something about this guy, but I didn't because he was the lead on the job. I didn't really know the GC, who happened to be a woman, but I'd been working with her.
the GC
for,
was a
like-
woman. I love
Yes.
it.
Why are you so surprised?
I'm not surprised. I love it.
I mean, I don't want to say anything bad, but it didn't work out with her.
Okay.
She was totally pounding someone.
Hang on. I got lost a little bit. The GC?
The GC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Someone that used to work for her now works for me, and she didn't take it well, and she felt like I stole this person.
Oh my god, that's just business.
Okay,
bullshit.
that's yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
See, I got a problem
So-
with that. That it always seems like the finger's pointed at the woman because she's entered the man's world. When the reality is that the fingers should be pointed at the men to just shut the fuck up and treat them as equals.
I've worked with women for the last 20 years plus.
right.
I have had great times with women. The conversations we've had are outrageously hilarious, out of bounds.
Yeah, totally.
But I think that because we're all on the same page of having fun, it never got to a point of sexual harassment. But you know, a good job site is a fun job site too,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I can understand. So, is there as a woman, do you see a real problem with sexual harassment? That's what I want to know. Or are we just making a
Yeah,
big deal
that's-
out?
you know
Are
what,
we
that is
making
a
a
good
big
question.
deal out of something?
Yeah.
I don't see a real problem with sexual harassment in construction. I see it as a problem in society.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't be happening in construction, but it shouldn't be happening
In
anywhere
general.
at all ever.
But do
Yeah.
you feel that it gets kind of swept under the rug in construction because it is a predominantly male-driven industry? I can't think of another industry that's predominantly male.
The tech industry,
Tech industry.
Good
yeah.
point.
Good. That is a good,
Good point.
the ones that they say are always male dominated are like, there's construction, there's tech, and then there's the sciences.
Sciences, yeah.
So
no, lots of
okay,
women. Lots
how-
of women are in sciences.
now they are.
Now they are. Yeah.
What other problems can there be with men? Being a woman, like we're trying to pick your
Carlito,
brain.
this is an hour-long podcast.
Yeah,
by
no,
the
no,
way.
no, no. But I don't want to ponder like I don't want to ponder on the whole sexual harassment thing. I think
No.
I think we can only cover so much of it.
sure.
I want to talk about what women go through. Like, for example, what are other problems you have with men and women getting along together in construction? What are the things that men that are listening could work on to make a better relationship on their job sites with the women that they're working with?
I would say the biggest thing is just not being listened to or respected in a way that's equal. So, like, for example, for a brief time when my husband and I were working for other people, we worked at the same company. And we have the same level of education. We just went to 2 different programs at the same school for the same amount of time. And we had been working in the industry for the same amount of time. I started working at this company first. I got him the job. He, right out of the gate, got paid $2 more an hour than me until
Are
I
you
quit.
kidding me?
Get out of here.
And I asked them for a raise.
And you think that's
on
because you
more
were a
than one-
female?
Yes.
Totally is. Totally, 100%.
But I would also say that women are more likely to devalue themselves. Like, maybe if I had have asked for
More
at the beginning,
Right.
maybe
Know your
I
worth
would have
right
got
away.
paid that.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
It's a confidence
and
level.
So they paid me what I asked.
Okay, so what's the hardest thing about being a woman in this industry?
Not being listened to as far as okay, I can give you an example. I was working with this crew of concrete guys, and they were Eastern European, but they were like, it's not like they had been born in Canada. They were doing this foundation work, and I was doing the layout because we were going to build an addition on top. And we were going to pour the footings or the slab or something one day. And it was their responsibility to like organize their own trucks and all that kind of stuff. I was just there to make sure that they weren't, first of all, like ditching when they were supposed to be working.
Yeah.
And that the layout was correct. They were like, yeah, we're going to get this truck. It's going to go in the back, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, are you sure it can fit in the back? Because the back alley is super tight. And, you know, we should probably make sure before the truck comes. I was already pretty frustrated with these guys because I had issues with them, like, not listening to me when I had given them layout marks, laying things out incorrectly, then having to fix it as the truck's there and it's pouring. Or I would tell them you have to put rebar here. And one time they just said no and they just walked off the job. So I ended up doing the rebar. The truck came, didn't fit in the alley. Like, I lost it with these guys. And I'm normally pretty composed. I try not to lose it. If you're a guy and you decide you're going to yell at another guy and you're going to have a yelling match and you're going to swear at him and all that stuff, that's fine. and you're going to have that yelling match, and he's going to be like, oh, he was really pissed. Whereas if I lose my cool and I yell at this person, I'm being hysterical.
Oh God.
Wow.
Do you know
Great
what I mean?
point.
So
No, but it's true.
I know. Except
Yeah,
I mean, how many
that's
people pay
sad.
attention to that, right?
You know what,
Sad.
Natasha? High five, man. That is a very good point. I love it. I love it.
He's probably one of those concrete guys you were working with.
No.
So
I'm not Eastern European.
I lost it on this guy, and we're walking up the street in front of the houses, and I'm yelling at him like, you should have effing known that this wasn't going to work. What the F is the matter with you? Are you effing stupid?
You could
Like,
swear on this podcast, eh?
Yeah,
but
totally.
my mom might listen to it, and I don't want to.
Well, then she's not going to like Manny.
I just shouldn't do it. I lost it on the guy. He actually got scared, which was kind of funny to me because he was extremely large, first of all, and very tall. And I lost it on him. I told him that he was an idiot, that he should get the hell out of here and go home. I would let him know if I wanted him to come back.
Good for you.
I was yelling at him so much that actually there's this woman, and I kept telling him I kept yelling, get the fuck away from me, Adam. Don't come near me. Get away from me. Because I was so upset. And this woman that was walking behind us ended up like crossing the street.
Yeah.
You got her scared too.
I want nothing to do with this.
Then afterwards, and you guys probably can't relate to this, but because I was so upset, after I yelled at him, I then like had to step away and I cried. Because I was so, first of all, upset that I had like lost it to that point.
That you were brought to that point.
It's kind of like a reaction that can happen when
Well,
you get
just
super
so you-
angry as a woman. You
Yeah,
can cry.
well, just so you know that Mike does that
I
too.
knew you were going to say that. I was going to try and beat you to it. I say, you know what? Carlito cries all the time.
I've seen people passionate. It's not a man or a woman thing. It's a passion thing.
Yeah.
You get so involved in it, and you're so angry and pissed off. It happens to all of us.
But
I've done it
they
myself.
didn't see me cry, so I felt pretty good about that. Like they didn't know that it happened. I was just like, okay, good. I told them I'm gonna go call my mom and cry.
Well, and okay, so we don't give enough women credit in this industry. Why don't you talk about the best things that you've seen about what women have added to this industry? Because, I mean, listen, I've learned a lot. Like, even my wife's in construction. She builds homes. When we get home, I feel like I'm still with a man.
Right.
And we bicker back and forth, but I learn something from her.
Right.
Well,
And that's the most important part, is that we're learning something from each other and taking something back, taking something from each other,
Do you
right?
and your husband like kind of do a recap of the day when you guys get home?
Oh yeah, totally,
Yeah.
for sure. I called him while I was on my way here, and they did a lift with trusses today with a crane, and he was telling me about how that went.
How do you feel school has either helped you
Wait,
or
hang on. We haven't even answered the other question.
I'm just
You-
so pumped.
The question that I liked, we haven't even answered.
I can step in. I think that with respects to Carlito's question, I think I think the women bring organization.
Why do you guys keep on?
I keep on
fucking
saying it because
that?
I've experienced it. They're very organized. As GCs, they don't miss a beat, man.
Well,
they're
I
much
think
smarter than us.
I also think that women cut themselves short and don't realize how much power they do have on the job site. That men don't want to look like an idiot in front of women, and by having a woman around, it can make a man a better person at work.
Good point.
But
That's a good point too.
That's in general. Like women in general in society don't give themselves enough credit because we're taught that we're not supposed to by society.
Okay, but you're running your own business. You're kicking
Yes,
guys off site.
totally.
So what's the math?
What's the
What
math on
what makes it work for you that women that are listening, you could help them out?
I feel like that statement that you just said, Natasha, belongs in 1918, not 2018.
But it's not entirely untrue though.
I agree with you. That's the shameful part of this.
I mean, like realistically, women make what, like 74 cents for every dollar that a man makes across the board
Is that
in
a fact?
Ontario.
That's
That
a
is a fact
fact.
in Ontario.
That's a fact?
Yes, and that is
Fact.
an Ontario statistic.
Okay, let me tell you something. All the women that I've worked with have made the same amount of money as the men.
Well, that's great.
So I've never seen. So these are new things. When we took this on and we wanted to talk about women, I wanted to learn things that I didn't know. I just feel that there was no difference between the two of us. I think that the only difference is how the person feels or how they carry themselves in on the job site. But now I'm actually learning that, you guys have a crutch basically coming into this industry or any industry.
Sure.
Because if you're saying 75, like
But,
that,
but we're the
74
ones that
cents
are
on the
responsible for that crush.
Okay, so we're fixing it
society,
right now.
Yeah, but most men are not.
like that is just mind-boggling. I don't.
But that's
if I
the
was
other
hiring
thing.
the two
So,
of you two, I
okay.
would be hiring you for the same amount of money. It would be who's better for the job.
I'll give you an example. So there was a study done, I believe it was at Harvard.
Okay.
And they told the same story and they just changed the person's name from a man's name to a woman's name. And essentially what it was is there was this woman who was working in Silicon Valley and she started off working at the front desk, like in a reception type position. And she used her contacts that she had accumulated from working in that position to progress herself through the tech industry to the point where she ended up, running some sort of billion-dollar company.
Beautiful. Love
They
it.
had, well, this is a fictional story.
Oh, sorry. I really like this story, though. I was getting excited.
They told the same story to the same, or two different test groups. One had the woman's name, one had the man's name. So exact same story, but they changed it to a man's name. So this man started working this company, entry-level position, reception, used his contacts to create a business, move forward, et cetera, et cetera. The test groups perceived the man as a guy that they would want to hang out with, ambitious, good guy, reliable, all these things. They
Wow.
perceived the woman as conniving, backstabbing.
Holy cow!
Yes.
It's the total opposite. I was
Yes.
actually
That
excited.
cliche, that
you know,
cliche about sleeping up to the fucking.
I know, but
Yeah.
even
Yes,
hearing that it's a story,
exactly.
but even hearing the story, I was more excited about the woman becoming successful than I was the
Yeah.
man.
And
Because-
so I think that it's actually like a subliminal thing that people don't notice because it's very deeply ingrained in our society.
wow,
Like more so than
shame on the man.
some
eh?
other prejudices because it's been around since basically the beginning
Yeah.
of time.
I haven't been speechless much, but that's pretty intense. When you're working with men, do you find that you have to work harder than them to prove something to them, or are you just proving what you need to yourself?
When I first started, I did feel that way. I wouldn't say that I do now.
Do you think that that's made you a better person in business now?
Probably, yes.
So now you're hauling ass and everyone's trying to keep up with you.
Sometimes. I mean, sometimes I make like 50 phone calls and spend most of the day sitting in my van.
Mike?
Mike.
Shame on you, Natasha. Shame on you.
Mike's probably parked right behind you.
Okay, so let's. I mean, I've been hogging you.
I
a
want to
little
bring.
bit.
I want to bring up something that you brought up last week about the time of the month. How you heard from guys talk about shit about women and the time of the month, and how there is no fucking.
Okay,
issue.
so I've been an owner, I've been a supervisor, I've been a manager, and I've been back to an owner. A lot of times men won't tell women how they feel. You are right. There are many types of men that have been brought up by their fathers, different attitudes. I've run into problems where I have to actually put out fires before they get worse. So guys will come up and I'll say, hey, what's going on with you and that person over there? And they're like, you know what? She gets to go to the washroom. She takes a half an hour break. She goes to Tim Hortons. She comes back. We're still working over here, and then she's having fun. We're still getting the same pay.
Isn't
and
that
I don't
applicable
feel,
to guys who smoke?
Right. I was just thinking that
I know,
actually.
but
I'm just saying.
you're right. But this is the part that you have. These are things that you have to deal with.
Okay,
as
so
a
I was thinking
supervisor
about this.
manager.
I was
But why
thinking
are they going to Tim Hortons? Like, why can't they just deal with it at the porta potty?
Well,
They don't want to go into the porta potties at times because they're disgusting.
Well,
legal-
I can totally relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some pretty disgusting porta potties, like with like a mound or whatever.
yeah.
Like it can get gross.
But that's on the crew, right?
Well, yeah, that's on the
crew
person
and
for
that's
not
on the
maintaining
GC,
it.
And exactly. Porta potties get cleaned every week, and I'm really pun intended anal about keeping those fucking things clean, right?
And when and just for a note, both men and women have their time a month. We just have it differently.
Thank you very much.
Right.
That's my point.
Men have a week every month.
that's
that
my point.
They're completely
So
emotional.
basically, they cancel each other out.
In Mike's case, it's 3 weeks out of 4.
The truth is,
Honestly, man, you see what I deal
All
with?
the abuse.
Yeah, man.
hang on. Mikey's great. I don't have a problem with Mikey. Okay,
I love him too.
The truth is, though, that the man flu fucking puts more men out than that time in a month. Guys will
for
shut
average
down.
for average men.
Yeah, for an average man, they'll shut down for 3-4 days, sometimes a week, because they got the man flu.
Like, I would love for like a man's penis to bleed for 5 days out of the month and see
Yeah, man. Fuck, that's crazy. Ah, people.
You know, good for you.
you can't even handle just thinking about it.
Man, that picture's stuck in my head now.
And this is why I like having women on board. And there's so much to learn from each other. So let's talk more about, I don't know why the topic of women in construction has to be such like a negative thing. Let's talk about all the positive things. Like,
Yes.
that's where I really want to focus. I want to talk about all the amazing things that women bring to the board.
Beautiful. Let's do this.
That's what I really want to focus
Yeah.
on.
Well, I would say for sure they can bring open-mindedness. I mean, I feel like if you're open to having a woman come and work with you, working with a woman, then you're going to be more open to alternative ideas or whatever, just in general. Because
So you're saying women working with women is even better. So
Well,
women.
it
so
can
maybe.
be.
So
It
maybe what I'm
can
saying.
be.
What I'm saying is that women
Yeah.
looking into getting into construction should look possibly into getting into construction with other women.
No. I think
that's
okay.
not totally what I'm saying.
No, I agree with you that I think a woman's perspective on a job site, she's going to have a more creative opinion about certain things to do on a job site more than the men will be, and I agree with that.
I'm a little connected to that side of my the design world, structuring things. So I'm a little bit, I like to.
But would you
I
value?
care. I think what I
woman-
want to say is I care just as much as women do when it comes to the little things.
Sure.
The details where most men couldn't care. At this table, these men care. If I take you to my a site, I could show you 10 guys that don't care. All they care about is they started at 9 o'clock. They were supposed to start. They were supposed to start at 8.
Who
They
started
started
at
at
9
9.
o'clock?
No. They're supposed to start at 8. They start at 9, and already by 9:30, they're talking about going home or what time we're going.
Oh,
home.
that's lovely.
Right.
And that's the kind of attitudes we have out there, right?
But that's not even necessarily exclusive to men. Like, I'll be honest, I've actually tried hiring 2 women, and neither of them worked out.
What was the reason?
So the first woman discovered while we were in the middle of building a roof that she was afraid of heights.
Oh, that's nice.
So that didn't work out
Off
well
the concrete
for
and
me.
foundation. Okay.
And then the second woman, not that I want to bash the union, but I'm going to, worked for the union.
I hate the union.
And
I've got enough enemies, so I don't have to
Yeah.
say.
we were doing demolition. We were removing hardwood from some bedrooms. There's 2 bedrooms. We were like popping the trim off, labeling it. It was going to get reinstalled. In one room, I have a young guy who's probably not even 20, who I just hired. And I have this woman who I also just hired. And this woman wanted to get paid substantially more than this man, which she's saying that she has more experience. So I'm like, okay, come in and we'll try it out. So they're both demolishing 2 rooms. In the room where she's working, the trim's already been removed for her. And we've already made like relief cuts in the floor so it pops off really easily. It took her probably an entire day. And I went in and did some of it for her because it was taking too long. And I went in and said, no, this is how you do it. You need to do this faster. And I fired her at the end of the day. The guy working in the other room finished that room and a whole entire other room before she was done the room that she was in.
He wanted her job. I like this guy.
Yeah.
You still have him working for you?
No, he ended up having a substance abuse problem.
Yeah. Caramba. Yeah. And that's unfortunate across the board.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at substance abuse problems. I'm not laughing at that.
What are you laughing at?
You're laughing at the fact that this 20-year-old didn't put the relief cuts in the floors?
No, I'm laughing that a woman felt that it was okay to ask for more money even though her skill set wasn't there. Right? You got to prove it. So it's like I give everybody a chance. They show up, and if it's not there, goodbye.
But I feel like there are... I'm probably going to offend someone, so I'm just going to say it.
No,
I
please
feel
do.
Like there
We like this part.
Quiet.
I feel like there are some women in the industry who think that, especially in my experience, women that are actually doing like the physical work, that feel like, okay, so I'm a woman in this industry.
Okay.
And that's all I have to do.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I mean? I'm a woman in this industry, so I can just like be a woman.
Wow, tables are reversed.
Well, hang on a sec. I know those women.
Wait.
They're on TV.
Oh God.
And so here comes the question. You kind of rolled yourself right into it. What do you think about women in television? Does it help you or does it take something away from you? How do you feel about it being okay, both of them are real construction, but one is on television and one is not.
I don't even really feel like construction on television helps anyone, regardless of whether it's a woman or a man. Like, I don't think it's helping anyone.
Wow.
For the most part.
Okay, now
Wow.
do you
Look at
also
this. I'm seeing all of Manny's teeth.
Okay, hang on a second. Let's not
He's
just take
loving
it there,
this.
but she said something very important here. Are you saying that most of the women that you may have possibly hired in the past you weren't happy with because they had the wrong attitude?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes. I would say that
So
they
what
have
is
the
the
wrong
what is the
attitude.
right attitude coming into the construction industry? Not any other industry, but the construction industry.
The right attitude, say as a woman, is regardless of what any guy that you're working with thinks, you are no different than them, meaning better or worse. And if they think that you are some sort of less equal, then that's their problem. And if you think that you're for some reason superior, then that's your problem.
At a girl.
1000% agree
There's
here.
it's
How do you like working with men in general?
I don't mind it at all.
So you must be enjoying it.
You look at
It's-
the-
Yeah,
she loves her
So
job.
it's
She runs
so
a
it's
business.
enjoy
it's
it.
not as bad. So some of the things that we've talked about, like sexual harassment,
yeah.
But
those are very rare
those
times,
are
right?
rare experiences
Okay, so
for me.
that's good to know. It's good to hear from a female that it's not happening.
But we don't,
all the
I don't want to
time.
make light of it that there are women out there in the construction industry that have dealt with a lot of sexual harassment.
And I think that we're learning something from her and from Marta is that you have to be a strong woman. You have to have
You
have
gotta hold
voice.
your own.
You have to have voice.
Well, and you have to, if you're
And-
not feeling confident, just pretend like you are.
And what's the worst thing?
I agree with you. How many times do I bullshit my clients in the beginning to do something? Manny, have you put a glass floor in before? Sure. It's easy.
It is though.
No, it's fucking not.
Oh,
It's
come
stressful.
on, Manny. You could build anything.
I would joke all the time with my clients, listen, I could fucking move the CN Tower if you wanted me to. It's going to cost a lot of money, take a lot of time. But I'll move it.
Okay,
but
this
if
is
you
where I would
present
say I will
confidence-
make a new one and you can just tear that one down.
I like restoring.
I would say it's hard as a woman to build that confidence because you're going to hear way more no's than a guy does. So you have to be sure of yourself and sure of your decision to work within any male-dominated field. You have to be sure of it, and you just have to know that this is what I'm doing, and if somebody doesn't like it, that's their problem.
Yeah.
I'm doing it anyway.
For all the guys that are listening out there, how can we make the work life easier and more enjoyable between
Equal.
the two?
I was
Equal.
just
From
gonna say
men,
that, man.
From men, like what can men
Pay
do
them the
that-
same, treat them the same.
Dude, I never even knew this was going on. I've been in this business 30 years.
I've
This is the
known
first
this is
I've ever
going-
heard of it.
I've known this going on because every other industry I've been in, it's the same thing. It's not. I'm sorry, but it's. I know that you don't want to say it's just a construction. It's not just a construction industry issue. It's not. It's a global issue. Men fucking rule the world. That's just how it is. You will see a black president before you see a woman president. That's a fact.
Well, it already happened.
I know. That's what I meant. That she will never
and
be
even,
president.
And on that note,
Actually, he was Hawaiian, by the way.
even
That was Carlito offending all the American listeners, okay? Men need to change. They need to understand that this is like bullshit. No more.
What's been your biggest pet peeve about women and men in construction?
I would say my biggest pet peeve is when I talk to a guy and he says, "Wow, there's not a lot of women in construction." And I'm just like, dude, I know that there's not a lot of women in construction, but thank you for
Reminding
me of that. I would s-
But maybe he was impressed.
Yeah, but regardless of whether or not he's impressed, I'm not doing it to impress someone else. Like, I'm doing it for myself, and I don't need to be reminded there's not a lot of women in construction.
All right, that's good to know.
Well,
good to know.
Carlito and Mikey, do you guys bring up stereotypes? Racial stereotypes. We don't. We don't bring it up.
No.
You don't look at the guys that come on the job site and go, okay, well, he's that background, so he's lazy.
No,
we don't do
Well,
that.
or you're not like, okay, like if you met someone that was, say, the Jewish faith and they're in construction,
They would probably own the company.
No stereotypes here.
Hang on.
I just mean if this guy walks on site and he's a plumber.
Look at man, he doesn't know what to say.
If a guy walks on site and he's a plumber,
I just mean if he walks on site and he's a plumber, there are stereotypes what that type of person is doing for a profession.
You're totally right.
they don't wear any underwear.
No, you're totally right because whenever I think fish, I think Portuguese.
For fuck's sakes.
There it is.
But no, that's what I was just trying to say.
Well,
Us,
or like
we don't do that.
there's a stereotype that everybody in construction is Portuguese. Do you
Yes.
know what I mean?
Well, there was a time when it was all Italians. There was.
Now they own
we
the
joke
companies.
about it.
That's
we
a
bring it
stereotype.
up.
It was Irish.
We bring it up. It's a joke, right? But we don't harp on it. The
No.
problem is that the men are harping on a woman
being
on a construction site. That's the
You know,
problem.
the shame is that construction is already hard enough with the bad attitudes that we have with people.
For sure.
Oh, the
Not
lazy
caring,
bad
not
attitudes.
caring about leaving the next trade, just doing your job,
Respect
and
the
not
next
worrying
trade.
about anyone else, respecting the next trade.
Good enough is not good enough for us.
And then we have to have these things. You know what I mean? What do you want to see women do more? Since we're the construction
whatever they
line?
want. Whatever they want.
What would you
That's the
want?
best
What do you
answer.
want to see?
Well, I want to see women doing what they want and
Yeah.
not deciding that they're going to not go into an industry, any male dominated industry, whether
So-
it be like think of surgeons. I think that too many women allow fear and, well, mostly fear. I mean, that's why you're not doing something. Whether or not you make up some sort of reason or excuse, if you're not doing something, it's because for some reason you're afraid of what will happen if you do it.
Are they afraid more of failing at doing it? Or are they afraid more at the bullshit that they're going to deal with?
I would say that those aren't necessarily mutually exclusive because, I mean, some people can only take so much
abuse, I know.
before they can't handle it and they decide they're going to quit.
Yeah. What's your least favorite part of the job?
What's my least favorite part of the job?
Chasing money.
Yeah, actually.
What's it like being a woman chasing money?
I don't really see it as being different. I mean, you just have to be persistent and you have to just say, hey, so remember how you owe me this money? You still owe me this money.
Is that when you send your husband over and say, clink, clink, clink? No, just joking.
Oh my God. I can't fucking believe you went there, man.
I said I was joking.
Wow.
I've had the same issue with previous employers, but I would say as a business owner, I haven't really had such issues. I mean, I still have, I'm actually probably going to have to do some sort of litigation to get paid for something that happened recently. I don't want to go into it.
No, we
No,
all
let's
go
not.
through
We
it.
all-
We're
we all
dealing
went
with
through
it.
that, yeah.
If you're in construction, you have a lawyer. That's
Yeah.
just how it is. Right?
But for the most part, it's not an issue. And I also try to make it very clear, in the early stages when you're going through, the contract and all that kind of stuff. Okay, these are the payment milestones, and even as they approach, I'll be like, okay, tomorrow we're going to finish this. Here's the invoice. You have to be on top of it.
Yeah.
My guys get paid as soon as they get the day that they're done. They get paid.
Right.
For the guys that are listening out there, it's a hot summer day, and a couple of them are sitting on the side, and they see a woman drive by in a van. They,
Oh, that never happens.
Guy, what does that mean how do you feel when guys are doing that to you?
Well, first of all, I would ignore it. And second of all, most of the time when I do go to work, I actually just wear a t-shirt and some pants. I try not to dress I'm not wearing a halter top to work.
But that's what the women on TV
I
wear.
knew you were going to say that.
Do you know how much sawdust you get stuck in your bra?
It's called man glitter.
Okay, hang on a sec. Thank you so much for that image because it finally got the penis bleeding image out of my
Oh shit! I just forgot what I was going to say. I can't believe you did that to me twice today.
Well, okay, hang on. You want to get a little lighthearted, which I totally cool. What I love is that you're wearing a Wonder Woman cap.
Yep.
Does that mean your husband's wearing a Batman cap?
Wonder Woman.
I thought, did Wonder Woman and Batman have a thing?
I think Wonder Woman slept with a few of the boys there in the club.
No, I think
That
I
usually
think
happens.
it was.
I know a joke about
Wait,
Wonder
wait,
Woman
wait.
on the roof and Invisible Man. But
Yeah,
that's, I don't want to get into
yeah.
that
I think
joke.
the whole world's heard that one before.
Wait a second. Did Manny say he didn't want to get into that? He just spent 10 podcasts tearing up the industry.
Listen, I have boundaries, okay?
Yeah. Okay, guys, for the note, this month it is Manny's month. He's got that week, guys. Have you ever used the woman's card?
Totally.
Yeah.
There you go.
And for what?
For carrying stuff.
Yeah.
Wait a second. How many 2x4s can you lift?
You know what? I shouldn't say that. My wife actually carries everything. I treat her as an equal. Have you ever seen women use their sexuality to get what they want at jobs?
Oh, totally, and it's gross.
I love it. This is great.
Wow.
No, I've seen it, and I kind of feel like you're not helping anyone. You're kind of making it worse for
women
who are
Yeah.
actually trying to do this.
Right.
You're making it worse for them.
Good point.
And like, if you're choosing to play that card in a construction environment, then I feel like you're not really taking it seriously.
What did you build your brand on?
I would say it's not even becoming clear until more recently, because when I first started, it was just like, let's get jobs, let's do anything. Like, if someone's like, can you do this? I'm just, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Whereas now I really am trying to focus more on like carpentry subtrade, high-end framing. Like we do really good quality framing. And
You mean you put the crowns out and up
Yes.
and check the lumber?
yes.
Hang on a second. Hang on. You're getting one of these.
Hey, no.
No, hang on one sec. One sec. To pass their test, what color are your tools?
Wait a second. For the record, that is personal. And I don't think that there is any right or wrong answer, but black and yellow.
Black and yellow. Black and yellow. You know what? Yeah. What tools? What? Might as well. Yeah. So what tools are your preference?
But like Manny's gone this direction.
You know what? Again, I'm going to make this perfectly clear. Just like we stated last time, there are several tools, different companies we use.
I would say
The quality tool.
Yeah.
predominantly I like Makita as far as like cordless drills go.
Carpenter.
I have a Makita compressor, but then as far as framing nailers go, Hitachi all the way. I would say most nailers, Hitachi all the way.
So you're green.
Yeah.
Hitachi green, Makita green.
I do have some DeWalt tools.
He's
and
he's a blue. We're black and yellow mostly.
Yeah.
I do have some Milwaukee. I really like the Milwaukee work lights. They have really nice
they
work
got
lights.
I love the fast tool lights. Oh wait, we've got one on right now.
I do also have some Festool, but predominantly on site, we're usually working mostly with Makita and Hitachi, I would say.
This podcast was not brought to you by any tool manufacturer in the entire world.
So here's a great opportunity. I would love to help you out. Why don't you tell us where you work, what areas you like to work, and if someone wants to get a hold of you, how they get a hold of you.
So we work all across Toronto, and we also work in York region. I will also work in Caledon because it's sort of close to where I live.
And the website is, if you want to give it up.
naturalcarpentry.ca. My Instagram handle is @naturalcarpentry.
I started following you, by the way.
Nice.
Yes. Sorry.
I think she was following you from the beginning of the podcast, by the way.
You know what? I didn't even know. Sorry.
I know. It's
Anyways,
devastating.
again, Natural Carpentry.
And my email is info@naturalcarpentry.ca.
Okay, so we all have something in our business that we like to do. Every basement or any house that I go to, what do I like to do, Mike? I like to sell elevators.
He does. He actually
I
loves
will
selling
put an elevator
elevators.
in every house, okay?
This
I love
guy,
conference
you know what?
ceilings and crammel.
And he's not even bullshitting. This is all he says on every estimate, even if we're just doing a front foyer. You want an elevator in this house? Oh my God.
What is it that we could know you for?
If we walked into one of your renovations or one of your projects and we're like, wait a minute, hang on, Natasha, is there something that stands out?
Crowns up and out.
There you go. So it's
Nice.
framing.
So the drywallers and the
Okay.
trim guys, everything will
We're
be
gonna
like
talk after
in
this.
Yeah,
heaven.
we are going to talk after.
Even though we're talking here.
Sorry. We can go, yeah.
I think
Go ahead.
you anything else you want to share?
I don't think so.
Is there like one message to kind of share out there for women out there? Or hang on a sec. How about the pigs out there? The men. I'm talking about the men.
Honestly, if a man has some sort of negative attitude towards women in construction, that's probably his general attitude towards women.
I completely agree with you.
And
man,
it
put 'em into
doesn't
that.
necessarily have anything to do with what industry in which
It doesn't
they
matter.
work.
It could be any industry. We want to thank you, Natasha, for joining us.
Thank you.
honestly
Really
amazing.
appreciate.
Amazing.
Thank you
shit.
very much.
Amazing.
High five.
Amazing. Yeah, man. Awesome. Awesome. Tens.
10s.
And we're taking it
I
out.
still want to do a part 3 someday where I want to bring a pig in. I'm sorry to say. I think it's
Wait.
you podcast. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you for being honest and bringing all this stuff up. What are we talking about next week? We don't know.
Time.
Let's surprise everybody.
Time.
We wanted to talk about
How important time
is for your business, for your personal life, for life in general. Time, because
And
we're all
why
being consumed by
isn't Mike
time.
on time?
Really? Are we gonna go down there?
We're gonna talk about
We're gonna
that.
go
Yes,
down
we
there.
are.
Okay. It's always Mike.
Get us out of here,
God.
Carlito.
Oh yeah, straight from T.O. baby. Yeah.
I love that.